I used to tell myself that I was gonna tell my story once I manifest my SP back, for the second time, but right now I feel very weird in regards to this manifestation, so I thought, why not tell my story of when I first manifested him to cheer me up and hopefully help someone. So gear up, cause it might be a long story ahead. First thing first, the law is real. I have no doubt of that now. I've known law of assumption and law of attraction for about 5 years now. But I always had failures when it came to big manifestations. Looking back now, I realize why I used to fail. I was a kid when I discovered the law, 15 years old, and I used to be very childish in my approach of it. Which is fine, we live and we learn. But this specific manifestation was my first big success. I have never doubted the law since. It all starts in August 2024. I find my new SP who is a friend of my previous one. Well, no, it doesn't start there exactly, it starts in April 2024. I was on to my old SP, let's call him B. I was very attached to the outcome, very attached to him, and let me tell you that SP manifestations are never about them. But I made it all about B, so it never came. But in April 2024, I made a list to my best friend of my ideal partner. It wasn't very detailed, but it was overall what I would like in a person. Fast forward a couple months, I slowly let go of B and move on with my life. I felt true peace in that time. It was the summer holiday and I was busy every day going out, to the beach, etc. I was living in the moment. Then August 2024 came. And I met my new SP. Let's call him M. My old SPB posted a picture of him and his friends on Instagram and M was on it. I saw and thought, oh, he's cute. And it was instant. From the moment I saw him I knew we were meant to be. I just knew it. No way of describing it. So then it starts stalking him a little here and there and found that he was exactly what I had written to my best friend. My perfect match. So I followed him on Instagram and he followed me back. I was so excited, but then a few days later he deleted me. No blocking, just deleted. I felt down, but I wasn't too worried about it. Then I started imagining us together. Us calling on Discord, us making a Minecraft world together. We both have loved the game since childhood. I would imagine specific conversations or phrases. I imagined us sleeping on the phone, talking for hours. Him stalking me. Him being completely down for me. I imagined all of that for 2 weeks, I think. Then I went on with my life. I would still daydream of him here and there and I felt good, but that's it. I wasn't focused on him and he wasn't on a pedestal, nor was the manifestation. Honestly, I didn't feel like I was manifesting him. I was just going with what my soul felt right. It was all so natural. All of September I kept getting urges to contact him. 'Cause he didn't know who I was at all. But I would be like, nah. I felt bad, had doubts. But they never lasted long. Then October came. I saw a post on Instagram, can't remember what it was exactly, but I remember the words, "What's meant for you will feel natural, peaceful, and connected." Something like that. And I thought to myself, if M and I are meant to be, it'll be, and in that moment I had this strong deep feeling of it will happen. It is meant to be, and I let go completely. I once again had the urge to contact him. I DM'd him on Instagram and he followed me, again, instantly, despite having deleted me a few months back. We started talking and everything I imagined down to the last details happened. Everything. The calls, phrases, discussions. Everything he did matched what I had imagined a few months back. It came so naturally. We were official 1 month later. And everything was perfect. He was incredibly in love. Took me 3 months, but really 2 weeks after I let go. Whole time I didn't focus on him. I didn't focus on 3D, which was dead in the sense of nothing was happening at all, no signs, nothing. I wasn't trying to make it happen. I just felt. And let go. Ultimately, it's never about the manifestation. Don't focus on emotions in relation to it. Focus on you. Feel joy, peace within. And release. Let go. It's okay to have doubts. It's okay to have fears. Accept them and release it all. It's all about you. Always been and always will. I am now dating my SP, for real, in the 3D. To preface, I am a scientist, and a skeptic at heart. Because of this, I'm not here to say the law of assumption or manifestation is 100% proven or that you can have absolutely anything you want. That said, I can't deny that there seems to be something to this law. I've been testing it myself. I say the following with only compassion: please keep living your life, doing things that bring you joy, fulfillment, and purpose. Don't spend all your free time doing manifestation techniques. I haven't had perfect success, but I can't explain much of what's happened, so I feel compelled to share my story in case it can help someone. Buckle up, this is long. To be honest, I was desperate. Looking back, I'm a little embarrassed. But this led me to read more about manifestation, watch YouTubers, and discover the Neville Goddard SP forum. Someone posted that they got their ex back in about 3 weeks, and many others encouraged testing the law, saying it's possible to manifest something big right away, like an SP. I tried to find this post, but it has since been deleted. Because of my desperation, I skipped the testing phase and went all in manifesting my ex back. I now realize I knew almost nothing about the fundamentals of this thing we call manifesting, at least how I understand them now. I spent countless hours every day after work doing techniques and consuming manifestation content. Unsurprisingly, I did not get my ex back. After about 6 months, I was emotionally exhausted and quit. Life went on. After a couple more months of healing, I decided to try dating again and met someone great. We went on several dates, but then he told me he'd decided to reconcile with his ex, who he'd been with for 5 years. I was bummed, but in my mind popped up that pesky idea of manifestation. So I decided to try again, this time focusing on this new person. I wasn't as attached, so I started by testing the law. The first couple months, I'll admit, were not very successful. I did techniques from a place of anxiously trying to prove this to myself with no clear results. Then I discovered Edward Art's videos. He has a YouTube channel called Edward Art Hands Supply, if you want to look him up. I was inspired by his ladder experiment video. In fall 2024, I tried the ladder experiment, but not exactly as he described, and in a way that felt more feasible for me. For 3 days, I spent about 30 minutes each day lying on my couch, imagining myself climbing a ladder in the first person. I don't have a vivid imagination, but I tried. After my visualizations, each time I thought about climbing a ladder, I told myself I had already climbed the ladder, and tried to let the thought go. I wasn't perfect. At that time, I was at a relative's house for a few days for a holiday, and I hadn't climbed the ladder in at least a couple years. The day after finishing my 3 days of visualizing, I found a little worm in their pantry. This is gross, but I noticed a little cocoon nest in the corner of ceiling, crawling with moth larvae, and I had to climb a ladder to reach the 11-foot ceiling to clean it up. As this was happening, I thought to myself, holy shit, I'm climbing a ladder. Guys, it was so weird. I felt floored. That seemed like a success, and now the game was on. So I decided to try more intentional manifesting. I started with small things. I manifested seeing a pink car, receiving flowers, which came from my parents for my birthday, a month in advance of my birthday, getting a text from an old friend that I hadn't talked to in over 1.5 years, actually got a DM from them, close enough, and holding a fluffy pink elephant stuffed animal. I even briefly imagined eating brownies, and the next day, a friend's coworker randomly baked me brownies. I also intended receiving $5,000, and about 6 months later, my elderly grandfather unfortunately passed away. Guess what? He left me $5,000 in his will. These little wins made me more open to the idea that manifestation might really work. I started watching more YouTube creators and trying different approaches. Indigo Detri resonated with me. She talks about manifestation as simply being the person you want to be on the inside, regardless of external circumstances. So, emboldened with my new success, I began working on my self-concept, genuinely believing that my SP would want to be with me, that I was a better match for him than his ex, and that he wanted to date me. Once that felt natural, I imagined him as my boyfriend, mainly using inner conversations, for about 3 months. I focused on holding the feeling of love, fulfillment, and peace as long as possible. However, I kept worrying I wasn't doing enough to manifest this, which kept me from fully settling into that feeling. Then I watched Edward Art talk about how after techniques, all you need is an internal shift, a feeling of release, peace, or happiness that tells you your state has shifted. That's enough. You don't have to pretend your manifestation is real in 3D yet or act as if. That was so freeing for me. So I focused on that feeling, using techniques mainly to stay in the knowing that he loved and chose me, primarily through inner conversations, without forcing myself to believe or act like it was already reality. During this time, my SP and I stayed in touch a little. We worked out at the same gym, so I'd see him occasionally. But hearing about his relationship sometimes pulled me out of that peaceful state. After about 3 months of practice, I noticed a shift. He began making comments like telling me he thought I was beautiful, how kind I was, and what a wonderful person I am. This went on for several weeks, but progress seemed to stall. I then read about inspired action. I had mistakenly thought you should do nothing at all, that the manifestation should just fall out of the sky and into your lap. But I probably misunderstood Neville's not lifting a finger. It doesn't mean doing nothing in life, just not forcing the manifestation. So I decided to tell my SP I had feelings for him, not from desperation, but from a place of calm knowing. I felt confident we'd be together. I asked him if we could grab a coffee and told him honestly that I had feelings since we'd gone on dates. I told him I wasn't expecting anything to come of this conversation, but felt I had to tell him. I also said that if he didn't share my feelings, I didn't think we should remain friends. I said this mainly because it seemed polite, but I had so much peace in my soul and just honestly believed at this point that this wasn't the case. He was quiet but thanked me for being honest. 2 days later, he reached out wanting to talk. I felt a bit nervous but tried to ground myself. He told me that since getting back with his ex 7 months earlier, the relationship hadn't been strong and that he had feelings for me too. He said he knew it wasn't fair to keep dating someone when he wasn't 100% in the relationship, and that the right thing to do was to end it. This surprised me because for the previous 6 to 7 months, he had spoken positively about his relationship when I would run into him from time to time. It seemed the story only changed when I truly felt the wish fulfilled inside. He broke up with his ex 2 weeks later. I wanted to give him some time and space to heal, so we did not get together right away. However, I remained calm and in my knowing. A few months after that, here we are, dating for real in 3D. Total timeline, 6 months of manifesting till the breakup, about 9 months total till fruition of me being his girlfriend. Guys, I don't know what to say. I wish I could say this proved the law of assumption 1000% for me, beyond a shadow of a doubt. But I'm a scientist by training and don't claim to fully understand the complexities of how the world works. I'm still not 100% sure what to make of it all. Like I have read time and time again, it felt natural, like it could have happened anyway. I'm so happy. This is just a reminder to myself, and to others, that you don't have to be confident in your manifestations for them to come to fruition. For context, a few months ago, my manager gave me a list of goals she wanted to see me achieve in my department. At the time, I couldn't see how it would be possible given the current circumstances. I also had limiting beliefs that I'd have to put in time and energy I didn't have. But I knew it had to be done, and I gave myself no time constraint. I simply told myself that it would happen. I continued business as usual and allowed the chain of events to unfold. I remember even talking to my friends, worried and doubting myself. But instead of putting pressure on myself and creating more resistance, I decided to just let it be. Deep down, I knew it was mine, even when I consciously doubted the possibility. As time passed, I noticed things at work began to feel easier. Everything started to flow naturally and effortlessly. Of course, there were days I felt tired and stuck in the never-ending cycle. But today, during a conversation with my manager about my future with the company, she praised me for meeting, and exceeding, all the goals she had set for me months ago. That's when it clicked, my manifestation had come to life so naturally that I didn't even realize it had happened. It took her saying the words, "You did what I asked of you. I'm impressed by the amazing work you've done," for it to hit me. Something that once felt so impossible had unfolded effortlessly. I didn't have to work harder than usual. I didn't put in more hours or stress myself out. I just stuck to my routine. This was such a powerful reminder of how manifesting should feel, and how important self-concept truly is. I didn't affirm for these exact goals, but I did affirm that I'm great at my job and that my job is easy. Even then, I only affirmed to lift my spirits and motivate myself on stressful days. So, my boyfriend and I just recently started dating. It's long distance. We were friends first, so we know pretty much everything about each other's pasts, including all the ex and situationship stories. I know how his last situationship ended too. There's this girl, let's call her Lisa. She's not a bad person, and I don't have any hatred toward her. But even after they ended and we started dating, she was still following both his main and spam accounts. Now, he's kind of a public figure, so he didn't want to unfollow her and make it seem like he was bothered. And honestly, I understood that. It didn't really bother me. But here's the thing, I've got my priorities straight. I didn't just want him to unfollow her. I wanted to be the only girl he follows. So instead of bringing it up or stressing about it, I just affirmed, I'm the only girl he follows. That's it. No resistance, no obsessing. Just quiet, confident assumption. It hasn't even been 2 weeks since I started affirming that, and last night he told me, completely unprompted, that he unfollowed her. Apparently, she unfollowed him, then followed again, and he didn't like that. And in my head I'm just like, I wonder why. Soon, I'll be the only girl he follows in the 3D too. I already am in 4D. That's not even the only shift. There were some jokes he'd make that made me a bit uncomfortable, not bad or disrespectful, just not really my thing. I never told him that, I'd laugh along, so he assumed I was okay with it. To be clear, he would have stopped if I had said something. But instead, I just affirmed, he doesn't make those jokes with me. And last night, he literally said, I haven't even felt like making those jokes around you for about a week now. I don't know why. And I was sitting there like, baby. I know why. Because I started affirming a week ago. Moral of the story? Do not give up. Don't let the 3D distract you. I know it can feel real and frustrating, but persist anyway. I wasn't perfect, I had doubts, I slipped, I spiraled. But I kept coming back to my new story. And that's what matters. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to come back to your power. Happy manifesting, loves. I struggled with dermatitis my entire life, and learned how to deal with it. I am 34 years old now. My skin cleared up in my late teens and early 20s. I would get minor breakouts, but they would go away pretty quickly after treating it with a lotion that worked for me. Last year, I noticed a small breakout on my neck. With time, it progressed. Even with the same protocols I would do to fix it in the past, it got worse. It got to the point where it spread really bad. Where friends and family had commented on it. It made me so sad, and brought me back to a time when I was so ashamed of my skin and its condition. I tried everything to make it better. Went to a dermatologist, which I haven't been in years, because I was desperate. The ointment they prescribed made it worse. I even bought a natural high-quality skin product that was like $140, the Band Fortuna, as a last-ditch effort and, as you can guess, no luck. It spread and kept getting darker and more inflamed. I would walk around with my hair down, head down, trying to not draw attention to my neck. One day, I had a moment. I realized I have studied Neville for years. I should be able to manifest clear skin. In my shame, I decided. I am going to walk around this earth, as if my skin was clear. I didn't care if my hair brushed away from my neck, and exposed my dark inflamed skin. I walked knowing my skin was clear. I pretended as if my skin was the most clear it's ever been. And that was the beginning of my healing. That was the turning point. My skin cleared, and it hardly left a scar. Often, I look in the mirror, and just smile, looking at the progress. And the only thing I changed, was my mind. This was the most tangible, conscious manifestation I have done. I manifest plenty of things, just through the feeling of wanting it. But this was deliberate. And the only thing that helped my skin. I think it was a test for me, in my desperation, to use the only thing that would really heal. In my shame, I decided. I am going to walk around this earth, as if my skin was clear. I didn't care if my hair brushed away from my neck, and exposed my dark inflamed skin. I walked knowing my skin was clear. I became fond of the manifestation and the law of attraction world a few years ago. Listened to Neville Goddard and all. Fully digested it, and began to live this life of living with the wish fulfilled. Now, I say to you, although this is a success story, sometimes the outcome is just so profound and close to unbelievable. I cannot even comprehend. Anyways, me and my ex were in love back in 2020, we broke up because I was just ignorant and also not ready for commitment. But our love for each other was just so strong, believe it or not, I missed her and thought about her for 4 years. But it seemed there was no chance, this was what the 3D world told me. She found a new partner too, so that sort of made it less hard on me. I had such pain in my heart, I went through a lot in the 4 years without her, but I always thought of her. But it wasn't until I changed my perception and thought of her from love and not lack. I would pray for her and her well-being, instead of praying for her to come back. Sometimes I would have dreams about her, and the pain would come back. Eventually, I prayed and asked, why do I keep thinking of her? It's been so long, but I still have trouble moving on. God, if she really is meant to be for me, please in some way, let her reach out to me. I want to talk to her, at least to tell her I'm sorry. My faith and my doubt were always at war with each other. It seemed like there was no chance. But 2 weeks later, I get a random text from an unknown number early in the morning, saying my name. In my mind, I was thinking, imagine if it was her. Well, it was her. After 4 years of not speaking to her, it was actually her. I could barely grasp this reality. We talked, we saw each other for a few months, the love was still there, as if nothing changed. But as months went by, some things and feelings changed. Long story short, things fell apart, and we are not together. I accept this though, because at least I was able to be with her again. But she confessed that she has always loved me, and the craziest part. She would have dreams of me saying I have to tell you something. Then she would wake up. Honestly, wow. Sometimes I had doubts, but I think of this sometimes and it makes me remember, it really is possible. Shift from lack to love, and do not be desperate, be patient. Because if it is true love, you must be willing to wait, even if it hurts. This was last year and we have moved on. So now, with this prior success, I am now manifesting another girl. And I am at a point of doubt, so my own story is a reminder that it is possible again. Wish me a luck. Thank you for reading. Without going too deep into the backstory, last Friday, my ex and I had a really intense falling out. I broke her trust, and she left. I tried reaching out but got no response until Monday, when I sent a final message asking to talk. She replied saying she needed more space, but not long after, she asked to meet up. That night, we mutually decided to break up and part ways. Fast forward to yesterday, Wednesday, out of nowhere, she messaged me saying she missed me and wanted to see me. I went over, and we talked things through, and agreed to give things another chance. She even admitted she thought she'd never speak to me again. So what happened in between? I affirmed. Constantly. All weekend while we weren't talking, I was listening to my own affirmations on repeat. I did my best to keep my thoughts favorable, even though I slipped into fear and doubt at times, especially around the breakup. But deep down, I had this strong gut feeling that it wasn't over. I refused to accept that this was the end. From Monday onward, I became really intentional, recorded affirmations, listened to them all day at work, literally had my AirPods in for 5 hours straight, and focused on shifting my state. Then out of nowhere, boom, the message came. And during our conversation, it was wild how aligned everything she said was with what I had been visualizing and affirming. Still processing it all, honestly. It feels surreal. But also, such a powerful reminder, your inner world really does shape your outer one. I'm feeling so good. In the first week of April, I received a bill for €1,400 that would be deducted from my Social Security check. And I wouldn't be able to pay the rest of the month's bills, not to mention the lecture from the head of social services, who is a very harsh woman. Then I started to feel very anxious again, and I started my whole meditation and mentalization ritual again. Yesterday, Sunday, I did my last session, sighing with relief, feeling an incredible relief before falling into a deep sleep. At dawn I woke up 2 hours before the meeting, and found myself at the head of a table, participating in a meeting between the social service directors and my social worker. I gave orders to the social welfare directors to be kind, understanding with me, and to forgive my debt. Or pay in 7 installments. I did it with complete ease, smiled, and decided to sleep for another hour. I had the meeting, and my social worker told me she had good news for me. I thought, I'll pay the debt in installments. She made some copies for me to sign, and said to me, "This morning the committee unanimously decided to pay off your debt." What? I am in power. Read Neville and tell a new story.